All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to a brand new DC News Roundup video. And I have to say, the past week, it's been a bit of a slow news week in the realms of DC, but I've got your backs, guys. There are some things that we can talk about in today's video. As always, it is timestamped. But first of all, we absolutely have to talk about this kerfuffle that happened over the weekend, because we had this article from Collider headlined, Superman's Nathan Fillion loves how flawed Green Lantern is. And in this article, Nathan Fillion talks about getting the role, and this is where things kind of transformed into a certain crowd out there calling Gunn a liar and this secret conspiracy to be out with Henry Cavill and everything like that. So let's start with what Nathan Fillion had to say, because after all, he's going to be our guy Gardner in Superman and probably continue on in Lanterns. So he said, well, we were actually at the premiere party after Suicide Squad, and that's where this all starts. He says Suicide Squad, more on that in a second, but he's talking about Gunn here. And he was in a huge crowd of people. We saw each other in the crowd and I congratulated him. Oh my god, that was amazing, it's so great. Hey, did Peter tell you what we got for you next? I said, no, he hasn't. He looked around like someone was going to be listening. We were in a throng of people, but he leaned over and said, you're gonna be Guy Gardner. So this is where he describes Guy Gardner a little bit, and he says, the reality is that people have flaws, we all have quirks, we all have vulnerabilities. You could have the most wonderful family, but be like, oh my god, my dad drives me nuts. He's got this one thing. Everybody's got something, and I love to lean into those faults and flaws. It's what makes people real and what allows audiences to relate, because we all know what that is. We all have our own. We witness it in other people. Guy Gardner is 90% flawed and doesn't care. That's one of his flaws. I think there's a real freedom in playing that. So for a guy who likes to play flaws and flawed people, Guy Gardner is a gold mine. And I guess I want to turn it around on you guys there, hearing what Nathan Fillion said. How do you feel about Nathan Fillion playing Guy Gardner still? I know the reactions were mixed initially. I mean, I'm personally happy with it. I know he's a little bit older than what people expected. I'm not saying he's a freaking dinosaur or anything, but I do actually see the vision there, but I know not every casting fit for everyone. But let's get back to the whole drama side of this, because initially when he was talking about being offered the role of Guy Gardner, he was talking about the premiere party for Suicide Squad. And as you can imagine, this led to a bit of a domino effect for all the people who are just really buying into all kinds of conspiracies about James Gunn, the DCU. Since the Suicide Squad premiered in, I think, July 2021, well, that was obviously quite a long time before we got the announcement of James Gunn as co-head of DC Studios in the fall of 2022. And then we got the announcement in January 2023 about the first 10 projects of DCU Chapter 1. So 2021, he was offered Guy Gardner. They knew about it back then, way before The Flash, way before Henry Cavill came back in for Black Adam. So this is where Gunn had to kind of clarify what Nathan Fillion said, because he was getting hounded with loads of responses. So he said, yes, he meant Guardians of the Galaxy 3, Volume 3 premiere party. And then you have users like this saying, nice cover. We know we were all lied to. And this other user says, about what? And Gunn's like, same question, which is when it continues. And this other user says, and I guess he's just collecting what people are going off of here, I'm going to infer that the we were lied to angle is regarding a popular conspiracy theory that you were always planning on rebooting DC and making your own Superman movie when you first got hired by Warner Brothers and finished the Suicide Squad, hence intending on always screwing over Cavill and lying to fans, since you said you had, at the time, no interest in running DC and didn't want to make a Superman movie. This is where Gunn says, I don't quite understand how that fits, aside from the fact I had no interest in running DC until Peter decided to do it with me so we could do the exec stuff and I could focus on creative. When I was hired to write Superman, it was always intended as, and pitched as, a new Superman story. So why would I lie about not planning that at the Squad premiere, which would have amounted to the same thing at the end of the day? How does this particular conspiracy theory make sense? So yeah, as you can imagine, this this must be quite frustrating for him, because I remember he said a long time ago as well, this isn't actually new, it might be new to some people, but he said that he was offered certain things, but he turned it down. He didn't really want to run DC, but then when he had the opportunity to do it with Peter Safran and do it together, that seemed like something he could get behind. He also initially rejected the idea of doing a Superman movie time and time again until he could find a story that fits. He did say, as he said here again, that it was meant to be separate. It is always interesting looking back on that period of time, because obviously this is when the DCEU still had multiple movies left. You know, The Flash, Black Adam, Blue Beetle, Aquaman 2. So I guess in its initial conception, when Michael DeLuca hired Gunn and he finally agreed to do the Superman script, as this user said, was it meant to be separate like the Batman? Always separate, Gunn says, so I guess it was initially going to be this Elseworld story, but as we know towards the latter days of the DCEU, things were shifting. Again, like, do you guys, like, there was so many ideas, I think, going on at the same time, of which, you know, Gunn and Safran eventually came through to be the people to shape that new future, but going back to those ideas, do you guys not remember the press tour of, like, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson talking about how he was basically trying to be the new figurehead, if you will, of where DC should go next, the future of Black Adam, where the Justice Society of America could go next, and everything like that. Henry Cavill being teased to come back in. So are we going to go down this direction? Are we going to go down this, like, you know, rumors way back when of a Walter Hamada Crisis on Infinite Earths plan? Like, there was so many. This is Warner Brothers all over with DC in like the last 5-6 years. And then obviously with the Warner Brothers Discovery merger, we've got David Zaslav coming in. At that point in time, things progressed as Black Adam barely made $400 million. I think it was 396 million. Things just still weren't reviving in the way I'm sure Warner Brothers wanted it to. And then, yeah, I guess Gunn and Safran came on board. His Superman movie was going to be the first pillar, if you will, of the new DCU. I guess technically that is Creature Commandos. And the rest is history. But you're still never going to get people, you know, truly abandoning the conspiracy of how, because now, I guess, there's been more poking of the fire with Nathan Fillion misspeaking and saying the Suicide Squad premiere, which again was 2021, people are now thinking, or those people in particular, if you will, are thinking that they knew about the DCU plan way back in 2021. But that's not the case. I mean, as Gunn says, it was. I was hired to write Superman Legacy over 6 months ago. He said that on February 19th, 2023. That roughly takes you back to August of 2022. And Superman Legacy at the time was going to be this whole other thing. And it kind of makes sense to me as well. Like the Elseworlds movies of Warner Brothers and DC at the time have always been doing well. Look at Joker, look at the Batman. They made more money than any DCEU movie since the release of the first Aquaman. So it makes sense that Michael DeLuca was probably like to James Gunn, hey, you know, on the side, if you want to like entertain and start pitching and writing this Superman project, you know, standalone, go and do that. And that's how it was conceived. But obviously things transformed in development over time, and here we are. But I guess the conspiracy will never die for some people. But I thought I would cover that because I just found it pretty interesting. And I know some people would say Gunn probably shouldn't give these people the time of day and reply so much, because there were some other replies outside of this that I'm not really featuring, just him engaging a little bit more. So let me know what you guys think of this. But let's move on to some DCU teasers. And that is the word, teasers, because this isn't anything massive. It's not like there's a new casting, but James Gunn over on Threads did his thing again. And what is the thing that he does quite often? Well, I wouldn't say often, but it is arguably some of the most ambiguous stuff he does, like with the Dead Man post, the Lobo post a while ago, no captions or anything like that, even though we all probably know that Momoa is going to be Lobo. Well, now we've got a Lanterns tease, or should I say a Lanterns photo. No caption, just Lanterns. Now, in my previous news roundup video, we covered how a user asked him saying, how's Lanterns going? And he posted like a load of dancing emojis, and we took that as, you know, okay, it's moving along, it's dancing along, so to speak. But now he's posted this. So there's many articles out there, as you can probably tell. Maybe I've done something similar in my title saying Lanterns news soon, because, I mean, Sure, wishful thinking, but maybe it could be a bit of a tease. Maybe Gunn is really enjoying, as he's teased recently with those emojis, how good things are in development for the show, and maybe something else significant has happened that we don't know about, but this is just his little nod to that. But I do hope that it could mean something soon with regards to Lanterns, because you guys know me, is one of my most hyped projects in the DCU. I say this all the time, but I think it's going to be very prominent in terms of the overarching story. I mean, Peter Safran has said that himself, that the show is very important to, this ancient horror that the Lanterns discover in the show. That's one of the only plot teasers that we've got, and how that will reverberate out into the overarching story of Chapter 1. So I'm hoping, I mean, again, is it going to be casting? I don't know. I feel like the show is not going to start filming until 2026. So would we really get casting now? I'm really not sure about that, but fingers crossed with regards to getting any kind of update if Gunn is kind of teasing us like this, because obviously James Gunn knows that if he's putting out a no caption post, just a photo of this, then it is going to get fans thinking. Now, I don't think that the comic art featured here is going to have anything significant or any significance to the show. War of the Green Lanterns, I think it's probably just a comic cover that Gunn liked. But, other details that are rumored about it is that it's maybe going to be written by Tom King, and maybe Damon Lindelof is going to serve as the showrunner or an executive producer. I believe people have spotted that Damon Lindelof did like the post over on Instagram or Threads, but I went through it, and I don't know if that is true or was true, but the like isn't there now. Maybe he clicked the like button again and removed the like. I don't know, but I think those rumors, they've been reported for the longest time over on DCU Leaks Reddit, and they've got so many things right in the past, so I do think that Damon Lindelof has something to do with it. Now, in the rumor mill, there is something else going out there that I just wanted to mention in this video, but I wouldn't hold any stock in it with regards to the actual rumor source as of right now. But the actual rumor itself, the idea of the rumor, is something that I do more or less kind of fully expect to happen. So it's been floating around for the past few days that a Justice League International project is in development for DC Studios. Now, this is according to My Time to Shine Hello. Now, people who know who that is, with all due respect to them, I don't find them to be a reliable source. They've got some things right in the past, but you guys know what I say about scoopers. Some get more than others right. Sometimes they get things right. Sometimes they get things wrong. Sometimes they get many things wrong. But outside of the source of this, I just wanted to bring it to your attention because you never know. It is a rumor, heavy emphasis on that. And outside of just the rumor, the fact that it came up again has brought the whole Justice League International discussion up as a project of Chapter 1. Because, again, I need to stress, when Gunn announced those first 10 projects, he said that was less than half. So that means it is over 20 projects in that of the first chapter. The DCU is made up of 2 chapters, and it's an 8 to 10 year plan. So the first chapter, let's just say 22, 23 projects. We've barely got all of them. I mean, we had 3 additional ones, the DCU Arkham series, the Hollywood Reporter reported not so long ago, the Teen Titans movie, and then, of course, there's Peacemaker Season 2. Now, there's many more to come, obviously, another 7, 8, 9 or whatever, so one of those could be Justice League International. I think this just does make sense. We've got Maxwell Lord coming in, played by Sean Gunn. I think these are the first breadcrumbs that we got. We have Guy Gardner already. I think he could transition over to that show with Sean Gunn. Maybe Sean Gunn will get teased as Maxwell Lord in Superman. Obviously, there's the DCU Batman. I would love to have the DCU Batman in the Justice League International project. I think that would be amazing. However, I would expect Brave and the Bold to come out first, but you never know. Like, it could be like a Millie Alcock situation. I just want to entertain this, and where Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow is gearing up to film soon, but Millie Alcock was cast quite a while ago, before a director was even attached or anything like that. So it makes you think, okay, Millie Alcock could appear in Superman. Obviously, it's Kara, Clark's cousin. So we could have other things with like Batman be cast before Brave and the Bold, because I've never really actually been against, I know some people are, Bruce Wayne or Batman appearing in some other capacity in other projects to kind of serve as a larger exposition to the status quo of things in this DCU. We don't need to wait till Brave and the Bold to see the Batman of the DCU. This is a Batman who's probably been operating for 10 to 12 years, so why not have him, I don't know, have a recurring role in, let's just say, a 8-episode limited series of Justice League International. I don't know, or it could be a movie. I could talk about this forever. This is where it starts to turn into a discussion series video, so I'm going to have to, let it lie there. But obviously, yeah, Jaime Reyes, Blue Beetle, played by Xolo Mardueña, he could come over. I know a lot of people want Ted Kord, but after all, the Blue Beetle movie teased Ted Kord at the end. And, we're going to have to see where it could go. But Justice League International, I actually do expect it to happen. I expect it to be announced at some point in time. It's more of a prediction, but one that I'm very confident in. As for this rumor of it being in development, I don't know. I mean, I guess in the background, if I'm expecting it to happen, I think it is low-key in development. But as for the source, well, you know what I've already said about that. But I'd love to know your biggest wants and wishes and where you think Justice League International could fit in with Chapter 1 and where you think it could release or should release in the current lineup that we have. Now, as for Superman stuff, there was one thing that I missed recently with regards to Superman casting. So we have a central casting Georgia page put out a casting call for the project named Genesis, which is the working title, just like how Batman had Vengeance and the Penguin series had Boss. This is Genesis. And they said that the role is, we are looking for minors of various ages to portray younger versions of one of our cast members. Looking for boys who portray Caucasian with dark hair and light eyes, ages 6 months, 3 years, and 6 years old. Now, people are automatically saying that this is Clark Kent. But the thing is, Gunn, as I'm probably showing you on screen right now, has said that there is no young Clark in the movie. And he said that a very, very long time ago. But people were still thinking that that could be true on a technicality in the sense that you're not going to get like a Smallville version of Clark going around like Tom Welling's Clark, and they're going to just show Clark that way for like 15 minutes of the movie. But there could be like a Superman and Lois intro, with how I'm probably showing on screen. You saw a very quick montage of just, Tyler Hoechlin doing a narration of how, okay, I crashed to Earth. Here's a baby version of Kal-El, and then, hey, here's when Jonathan Kent had his heart attack, and you see a young Clark there. And so, technically, you could include, as it says here, 6 months old, so maybe Clark arriving to Earth, 3 years old and 6 years old version of Clark Kent in Superman still. And all while this isn't an origin movie, I think that would still be true to what Gunn said, even if you had that in the film, because, again, maybe they're just going to do it in a montage sense, no more than 52 seconds. And you could do that, like quickly, the pod crashing down, Superman and Lois style, 6 month casting role fulfilled there, a 3 years old version, a 6 years old version, but then it cuts to Corin Sweat, bang. It's not an origin movie. When you're cutting to Corin Sweat's Clark in the film, he's a fully fledged reporter. And from like minute 5 in the movie onwards for the rest of the 2 hours plus, it's Clark 2 to 3 years into being Superman already. So I still wouldn't discount that, but Gunn did kind of explicitly say that there's no young Clark in the film. So maybe what I just said there, ignore all of that. But I do just want to kind of maybe leave that as a bookmark in your heads, because technically you can feature a little 50-second montage and have young Clark, all while having no prominent young Clark in the movie, if that makes sense. But the other thing I wanted to entertain is, what if it's a young Lex Luthor, a young Nicholas Hoult Lex Luthor? That could be possible. I don't know why they would want to show flashbacks to various ages of Lex Luthor, but you never know. But the thing is, guys, this could be for anyone, but it is interesting. It really is. 6 months, 3 years, and 6 years old. Dark hair, light eyes, and as it says, to portray younger versions of one of our cast members. And we know the cast members, and this could only really be a few people. And then DC Film News here says, we're hearing that the Kent farmhouse might be filming in LaGrange, Georgia, for Superman. And speaking of, and God, I would love to be able to fly on the wall for that, we have job huts here with another mock-up of Pruitt Taylor Vince and Neva Howell as Jonathan and Martha Kent. So this could give you a little vibe of what they could look like in the movie. This is kind of exactly what I was going for when I was talking about Superman for all seasons, when I was breaking down the castings. So I thought I'd just show that on screen to give you a little glimpse of what could be, even if the outfits turn out to be quite different in the film. And speaking of Batman a few minutes ago in Justice League International and job huts here, he has done a mock-up of a very, very, very popular Batman fan cast for the DCU's Brave and the Bold, or maybe if he does feature in other projects as well before then. But here we can see Brandon Sklenar. I always butcher names. I'm sorry. But I think he looks really, really freaking awesome here. If you want a glimpse of what could be with this particular actor, because I know so many of you want him as Batman. One thing I do want to point out here is, what do you guys think of the suit material? Would you want anything like this reflected in the movie? Because this is clearly more fabric-y. It doesn't seem so armored, but maybe I guess there's an under armor there. But in a fantastical DC universe, who really knows how things will come to fruition? Maybe they will do a bit more of a skin-tight thing, but at the same time, I know people really want high-tech, but perhaps they could merge both. But I just wanted to give a shout out to Job Hutz there, because he's doing fantastic work on DCU concept arts. Now, last couple of very quick stories for this video. We have from DC Film News saying the current runtime for Joker Folie à Deux is reportedly a few minutes over the 2-hour mark. Now, this would be reminiscent, I believe, of the first Joker movie, which I think came in for a total runtime of 2 hours and 2 minutes. And for some reason in my head, when I looked that up, I was like, wait, I swear it was a bit longer than that. But I think that is a very, very good length. I actually thought Joker Folie à Deux would go a bit more over 2 hours, 2 minutes, because, you know, with musical numbers in there, maybe they would need to pad out the story a little bit more with how much theatrics that they're going to put into it. But 2 hours, 2 minutes, I mean, I think the length of the first Joker movie was absolutely perfect for what it was. So the fact that the second movie is, you know, over a couple of minutes over the 2-hour mark, it seems to be more or less that they're going for the exact same cut. Obviously, with the musical numbers in there, it's going to kind of be impacted with the narrative, the shared madness of what the Folie à Deux is. So it seems that they can incorporate it all into the story fairly packed and tight. I mean, I'm not saying 2 hours is a short movie, but it's not a mega long movie, because obviously when you get to, like, let's just say the Batman, 2 hours and 46, 47 minutes without the credits, that's where things do feel like, okay, this is a long movie, even though I like long, slow-paced movies. For Joker, 2 hours, 2 minutes-ish seems like the right length, so let me know what you guys think of that. And lastly here, something I haven't talked about in quite a while is that Superman and Lois has finished filming. Like, it's wrapped the entire series, and I feel like this is going to be incredibly feelsy. I'm very much so looking forward to the final season. I don't know how many of you watch it on the channel. I know a lot of you tune into my reviews, but still, I'm surprised to this day how many people I see on, like, Twitter or something saying, oh, I keep hearing good things about Superman and Lois. Should I watch it? But I think people just don't, because of the CW stigma. A lot of people have been burnt by other CW shows in terms of maybe not enjoying them, and I guess they put everything, like, they judge a book by its cover with everything else. But seriously, if you haven't watched Superman and Lois, I'm not even joking when I say I'm pretty damn sure it is my favorite iteration of Superman to date. Now, I love other iterations of Superman. You guys should know this about me, but in terms of, and granted, this is at, like, quite a particular point in this Clark Kent's life. You know, he's got 2 kids, Jordan and Jonathan, who are teenagers. They're like 15, 16 years old. So this Superman has been Superman for a while, but the way they tackle it is really good. And the final season, we're launching into Lex Luthor. I'm dying to see what happened with that cliffhanger at the end of last season. But we have Elizabeth Tulloch here, Bitsy Tulloch, saying, try to take a normal first day filming the Superman and Lois series finale selfie, but quickly ended up in tears. What a beautiful ride this has been. So grateful, especially to our crew. This final season has been tough physically and emotionally on everyone, and I see you and how hard you are working, and I'm so appreciative of you. This season, the final season, is only 10 episodes, so I think it's going to be a very plot-driven, plot-heavy focused series. Not really much filler, if you will, so I think they're going all out. Can't wait to see Michael Cudlitz back as Luthor as well. He had so much gravitas to him. So if you're not watching Superman and Lois, go check it out. Do yourself a favor. Trust me. But guys, if you're a Superman and Lois fan, let me know what you're most looking forward to with that final season. But that is more or less everything I have to say in today's video, guys. As I said, in terms of the realms of DC and, you know, things going on over there's not a crazy amount of things happening, but that's why you should subscribe and turn the notification bell button on to make sure you never miss out on anything brand new, because I will be covering it. And in the meantime, I'm just going to be coming out with some other bonus videos. Check out Saturday's video. We do a Rogues Gallery adaptation series on should the Court of Owls be in the Batman Part 2 or Part 3. I did do a DCU Batman video on Thursday of last week, in where we discussed the top needs for the DCU's Batman, the Brave and the Bold movie. But guys, I'm going to love you and leave you now. Just give this video a like if you did enjoy watching. I hope you have a lovely rest of your day, and I'll see all of you DC people in the next video. Goodbye.